very good day to all of you. Thank you for joining us on another episode on Real Estate Reality. So this weekend is going to be Mother's Day, so wishing all the mothers out there a very happy Mother's Day. So on this episode, as usual, we have Mr. Riaz and Mr. Varun with us, real estate specialist and also mortgage specialist with us. Thank you, gentlemen, for taking the time to join with me on another episode.
Thank you, and happy Mother's Day to all.
Yes.
Wishing all the wonderful mothers happy Mother's Day.
And now, with the recent change in the government, Mark Carney is back as Prime Minister and the Liberals are back in power. What do you think about that? Do you think that there's going to be any policy changes to the real estate market recently?
So one of the things that I would like to take up is we have spoken enough about politics, and we don't want to be associated with colors. But at the end of the day, we are all united as Canadians. And at the end of the day, whoever the Prime Minister, we respect him as a Prime Minister and we move forward. And one of the biggest, proudest moment to me was a few days ago when he was talking to the president of the other country, and he said, "You as a realtor and I know that White House is not for sale, Buckingham Palace is not for sale, Canada is not for sale." That was one of the best comebacks any head of state could have given to another country.
100%. And the best thing I said, I spoke to the owners of Canada that's very classy and very commentable.
That was very classy, saying I have spoken to the owners of Canada, they have refused. So this is like an offer and accepted or refusal in our trade and in real estate and in mortgage. Having given that credit to our Prime Minister, he has some ambitious plans. One of the plans is to get rid of the GST for new home builds for people who are buying the property for the first time up to 1.5 billion. Okay? Which is a good thing because you are helping because when you say you are not charging a tax, it also means the government is losing revenue. But we are losing revenue to support the first time home buyers. So it's a huge advantage from that point of view. And again, on the other hand, when we look at, he is also promising that he will triple the construction of homes. In other words, we are struggling at this point in time to complete 200,000 homes a year, but he is looking at crossing the 500,000 mark every year, which is a huge ambitious thing because it has primarily a lot of things coming into play, such as one would be the labor that is needed, the tradespeople that are needed, because technically most of our builders and carpenters are aging population and new people are not going into the trade. So that is a huge challenge. Then we have the material cost that is going up, which also has a bearing on the prices. The third one is the inadequate amount of land space that is available. Although we have 9,998,000 square kilometers, 89% of that cannot be touched. Mm-hmm. So land mass to construction is very limited. And whatever we are going to build is going to be the same cities that we are building. So if somebody is building a townhouse complex on our street, the people, whether they like it or no, the existing people who have detached homes would not want new townhouses come in there. Okay? So he is going to go in for a lot of issues. So I would take it positive, look at it, and there are some people that are talking about, the supply is going to be triple in the next few years and prices are going to drop of the existing houses. That is not going to happen. If you take a 5-year period, every year on average, real estate rose by 7%.
And I also appreciate what he's doing with the GST rebates, but building 500,000 a year in my opinion, I think is maybe not possible right away, and you have to be realistic with the targets.
Correct.
Like in my opinion, I could be wrong. In my opinion, humble opinion, I think that's not going to be extremely realistic.
But if that can be done, that's amazing. It's good, but it's very challenging.
Right. Mr. Varun, do you think that there's going to be any change in the rates for mortgages and interests?
That's going to be played out over the years. So I had an education session with the Bank of Montreal economists. Their prediction is the prime rates to be cut by, discounted by another 75 basis point between now and the end of the year. Mm-hmm. So the rates will be coming down. we really don't know how, with the changes in government and with the tariff, where the whole economy is heading into. I think that is a very much of an unknown factor that could impact the rate significantly, either it's moving up or moving down. So without having a proper answer on that, it's really hard to comment where the rates are going to be. But in my opinion, I cannot see the Bank of Canada will be raising rates anytime soon, or will be raising it, because there's a lot of uncertainty in the economy. And especially with the less of GDP growth, and tariff also leads into unemployment as well, because Mr. President Trump wants most of the jobs to be moving to US, so that's means a lot of layoffs here.
That's right.
Then when the layoffs happens, what happens? The economy is not growing and people are not spending. So how they can stimulate the economy by cutting the rates down? So in that perspective, I don't think so there will be any rate hike. That's my opinion.
So probably I agree with it, but I'm next to the expert, so I don't want to count anything, because I'm more of a real estate side and he knows more of the financial side of doing it. But common sense tells me, and basic economics tells me, that Donald Trump's strategy is to make US stronger, which means he's going to build more factories, more infrastructure, more loans to be given. When all that happens, there is more money that has to be borrowed in order to fund those, which means where do you get the borrowing? The borrowing comes from the bond market. So he had to keep on increasing the bond yields. When the bond yields increase, the fixed mortgage rate is linked to the bond market. So there is a probability that the fixed mortgage rate may stay there without coming down, or may go up under Trump's administration. That's my way of looking at it. On the other hand, the variable is linked to the Bank of Canada's rate. So our economy's GDP is not doing great. It's declining. And our unemployment has gone up to 6.8 now, which is increasing. And also immigration has slowed down to an extent, but is robust, but slowed down to an extent. With all these, we have to sustain the economy. And I think we might be going for steep, deep cuts of variable rates, is my opinion.
By stabilizing the economy.
Stabilizing the economy. And I think the next one is on the 4th of June. Probably the narrative and the language that is used on that day, we may know what it is. And especially the moment US drops the interest rate, most likely we might be going in for double the amount, which is 0.50 cut, rather than taking this 0.25. And also, if you look at our friend Donald Trump, he's putting a lot of political pressure on his Fed chairman to cut rates.
Yeah.
At this point.
So if you're talking about the real estate industry and the people who want to invest or buy a home, so considering April, do you think people should go ahead and still invest?
That's $1 million question, but I'll let Mr. Reyes to answer that.
So there are two ways of looking at it. There are two things that you have to separate itself. One that we have to separate is, at the moment we have high inventories. The highest inventory in the last couple of decades is now. We have about 7 months of inventory in the market. Right? Now, having told that, we have to break it down. I'll just look at this to be correct on the figures rather than relying on my memory alone. About 45% of the sales are coming from detached homes.
Right.
Then we have about close to 30% sales that are coming from condominium markets. Condominiums are the area that is challenging at the moment. At the moment, we have a total of about 27,000 properties in the market for sale. Of that, about 11,000 is condominiums.
Okay.
So condominiums plays a large role. And the condominiums, 70% of the condominiums are bought by investors. Investors can break even only when they could take a mortgage at about 3% or 3.5%. At the moment, a fixed is going at about 3.99 and probably a variable at about 4.
For low force.
Low force. Now, when it comes to low threes, 3 or 3.5, it makes it possible for an investor to buy, break even, not to bring money from home to pay. So that is the time that the properties will start moving upwards. Whether it would happen in the next 6 months or 1 year is something to wait and watch, because what people need now is stability and confidence. Confidence in the economy is more important, not necessarily the interest rates. Interest rates do play a role, but people are looking at confidence. Like, one of the reasons that our sales were down by 23% year over year in for the month of April was because April was one of the most turbulent months in terms of predicting where the economy is going or how one individual is behaving on the other side of the border. So all these kept on people delaying or putting money into it. And I think now there is stability going forward. The future months are not going to be as turbulent as or unpredictable as April.
Okay.
At least we have a clear vision.
At least you have a clear vision. If you think these are the issues, then you know those are the issues.
Okay.
But if you look at opportunity, you know those are the opportunities. Right? Now, for example, the figures came up. Our exports to US dropped by 10%. Right? Yeah. Our exports to the rest of the world increased by 25%. Now we have a direction. We know where we are heading, what to improve and what not to. April was totally, you don't know where you were going. That's my view of.
Even prior to April, knowing what's going to happen, because we don't have a prime minister since February.
Correct.
Yeah, that's right.
So those are the numbers reflected in April, were the people who's making the decision in February and March.
Yeah. And if, again, just a quick referral is, if you take the condo market, the inventory, 7 months of stocks are there in the condo market. But if you take the semi-detached market, only 2.6 months of inventory. And if you take the townhouse, only 3 months of inventory. And if you take the detached home, it's 4 months of inventory.
So just to be clear, maybe some people may not understand what that means. So anything below 4 to 5 months is still a seller's market.
Correct.
That means the demand is high.
Correct. So a seller's market is inventory below 4 months is a seller's market. Between 4 to 5 is a balanced market. And above 5 is a buyer's market. Now, for example, condos are in the buyer's market, favoring the buyers. Detached homes are in the balanced market. If you take semi-detached and townhomes, they're still in seller's market.
Right.
That also means what you can buy for a 900,000 compared to a 1.2 million, what is more. So it does that way also. Mm-hmm. And month of inventory, in another way of looking at month of inventory is when we say 2.5 months of inventory. If no inventory comes, all this inventory will be sold out in 2.5 months.
Understood.
But the issue that we have is each month we are adding more inventory. Yeah. That's happening because the inventory went up by 8% last month compared to last year.
And what's also happening, the buyers are kind of stabilized. They don't want to make the decision because of the political concerns. They don't know the right direction. So buyers kind of stalled and the inventory rises.
Correct.
What can you talk about the rates now in April, the trends?
So everyone was predicted a rate cut in April, and that didn't happen. So that's kind of put the lack of confidence in the buyers, I would say so. And now we have a prime minister. We know what his directions are. And we also know very momentarily, we will also find out what's the direction overall with the US and Canadian relationships as well. And the decision on June 4th is going to give them a more confidence to the buyers in terms of what's going to happen.
Right. So would you advise the buyers to wait until June 4th before they take a decision?
So my advice is never advise to wait or buy. It depends on what's your personal situation. I think we talked about in the past as well. If you are a first-time home buyer, there's always the right time to buy. If you're an investor, you're upgrading, there's a lot of things you can move on. But if you're not owning a home, it's the best time to own a home. Right now. And that could be, because you are not buying for investment purpose. You're looking to live. You're not looking to make money out of it. It's for you to live. Reyes, you brought about the condo. Where do you think the condo market is heading in the future?
The very fact is, condo market we have to categorize again two. One is the resale market that is happening now, and also then we have the new development condo market. Right? Now, with the resale market, which is already existing condos that are getting sold, these are being bought in that market. The bigger condos are moving faster, which means 2 bedrooms, 2.5 are moving faster, which was an unusual scenario because condos used to be a small ones bought by investors. Now, most of these condos are being bought by end users who want to use that families.
So that's why they need a 2 bedroom.
They kind of move because they
That's
say
an interesting point.
we can't buy a home now, at least we'll settle for a condo now with our children with a 2 or 2.5 bedroom, and moving is becoming a trend now because when you look at the data, more of the end users are buying than investors. The investors are basically waiting till the rates drop because they are buying to rent it out to someone
Yeah.
and not for them to go and live. That's on one side. On the other hand, because our interest rates had been exorbitantly high in the last 2 years, like 6%, 7% plus, builders have drastically cut down on their permits to build for the future. Okay? For example, average in Toronto, we need 25,000 complete built and completed new units every year. Like last year, we hit about 28,000. This year, we are hitting about 40,000 above. But next year, we are coming down. And by 2028, we'll be constructing only 3,000 units where the demand is more than 25,000. And in 29, we are getting only 1,000 units where Toronto needs 25,000. That's because for that 1,000 to be completed in 29, they should have started digging now.
But they haven't.
They haven't. So that's the gap that you see. So my advice to people is when somebody is struggling and want to sell their condo, I say, if you can hold on till 2029, you are looking at a golden era of supernormal profits on the condo markets. If somebody wants to invest now and make money in the condo market, for example, we are marketing 2 projects. One is in 1515 Pickering, where there is a very nice easy payment plan, even $1,000 every month, and the condo would be completed in either 2029 or 2030. So that's the time where most of the demand is, and you're getting it at that stage. And also another one in downtown, in the waterfront, which is the Q condos. Yeah. That's the last waterfront available for building a condo in downtown. And that too is to be completed in 2030.
Or 2030.
Yeah, 2030. And that's a crown jewel on any investor who wants to own one with a lakefront view and the last lakefront property to be built. So there are opportunities for somebody to do it, but I do understand people are still thinking twice because investors, when they want to put a down payment, they always used to take it from a line of credit and put, and the interest rates are high. But speak to us, speak to Warren, get to know what options are available on that front.
In the pick and pack is a perfect for us. A lot of first-time home buyers, they have the down payment, but they don't have the down payment yet. I think it's a great savings over the next 3 years, and it's very timely in the market.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So I think in this segment, we spoke about the trends that are happening in April and some of the policy changes that we can expect. Probably after 4th of June, things might change. We don't know. So thank you for your input on that. Now I would like to go into public questions. So as I mentioned in the previous episodes as well, these questions are anonymous. You can send in your questions to either me or Mr. Riaz or Mr. Ranan. They will be happy to answer your questions for you. So since we were talking about condos, there's actually a question for condos. So the question is, I bought a condo in downtown Toronto pre-construction and it's closing in 6 months. And I'm hearing that mortgage qualification is tougher now. What can I do to prepare in advance to avoid delays?
Okay, I'll take that. So this is a very hot topic. So first of all, it's situation to situation. So I really cannot comment on it. Some of the condos, based on when did they buy it, the valuation is going to be an issue. Not all the condos have the valuation issues, but I would say majority of the condos have a valuation issues. It's coming down anywhere between 10 to 20% lower than the purchase price. Mm-hmm. So the buyers are having a tough time filling the gap in terms of down payment. So that is a difficult time. So my suggestion will be start talking to the mortgage professional you are dealing with and also talking to the builder to see if there's any additional help for you to bridge the down payment, or maybe they may have a vendor take back, or they may bridge the gap, or they may even do their own financing. Start exploring. Don't wait for the 6 months to come up with an option.
So, and also, Varun, I think what you are saying is about most of these pre-construction where people first went and signed up either in 2021 or 2022.
Yeah. That's why I said the timing is.
Yeah, that's
it
where
may
the
be not
time-
everyone, but it could be for like someone who bought in 2019, they're still closing. They will not have the same challenge as someone who purchased in 2021, 2022.
Okay.
May I add something else?
Please.
And Varun can probably correct me. Now, one thing that I am advising my clients, if you have a condo that is closing up in 8 months' time, go now to the bank, go and speak to a mortgage broker now, get yourself pre-qualified now.
Absolutely.
Because they can hold it for 4 months,
120 days.
120 days, up to 120 that they can hold the rate. I'll give you an example, right? I mean, I'm just making up this example, but it is reality, right? If somebody is working in the automobile industry and he has a very good salary and an income, the chances are, had he gone last month, he would have been qualified. Had he gone this month, he would have been qualified. Next month, I don't know how the bank is looking, because that's one of the most risky business jobs to have.
100%. I also want to mention one thing for the question who arise. Go and speak to the builder. Some of the builders have a programs with the banks they're financing through. So they will honor the purchase price, even though it's not there. For an example, each lender has associate with each Bank of Montreal or RBC or TD Bank or Scotia Bank. So talk to them and see if you can qualify with those lenders if you have a value problem.
Okay, perfect. I think this is all the time we have to answer public questions, but definitely we'll keep on bringing up public questions in the next few episodes as well. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. And thank you for joining us, for watching a Real Estate Reality. I hope this was useful for you all. And we will be joining again next week on Friday with another episode. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.